Hi Trent.
Hey Peter, how are you?
Good. I just have to put my headset on. Um, I guess for whatever reason, there's no one here either.
No, no one else has showed. Nobody has the enthusiasm that you
So I'll
have.
just let you know I'm just going to be here till 1, then I'm going to run. So yep, feel free to
No
do
problem.
whatever you need to do, but I'm running at 1. Yep.
Sure thing. Yeah, no problem, no problem. It's I'll just I was actually about to end the session because it looked like nobody's showing up. So we'll just do a quick session
Yep.
and we can take it from there. Did you have a chat did you have a chat with your partner about what we discussed yesterday?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Did you have a chat with your business partner about what we
No,
discussed
I didn't
yesterday?
get a chance, and it's not a rush thing for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a rush thing. No.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, okay. So, look, I think probably the best way to go, like, I think you're probably not in the kind of typical situation of what I expect most business owners are that come in here, where there's an operating business and it's been operational for a while and they've got kind of the frameworks all set up. You're kind of at a different place, and I'm happy to help, of course. But I think it's probably best if I kind of tailor something to you a little
Which
bit.
is which is what you said yesterday that you
Yeah,
because there's no one around, you were just gonna.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Which I'm happy to do today, and we'll just see what we can fix up for you. So, I mean, in terms of like what would be a really great outcome for you, um like from this session with me? What would you like to have happen for you?
That I know I have a reliable, consistent lead source.
Hmm.
That doesn't cost me the earth. That's it. Because it
Hmm.
sounds like from yesterday, it's going to cost me at least 3 grand. Then it's going to cost me. I have to pay per lead, and then there might be something else. For someone who's new and to the thing, I don't think everyone that's starting out has got a stash of funds. So
No, 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 no. That's, I mean, that's the thing. Because, but I mean, what you've got to remember is, what is one client going to pay you? What's
I have an idea
one
of
client?
how much they're going to pay me. At the end of the day, I've spoken to one gentleman, or not,
Hmm.
yeah, who does sort of like you, but not in the social media space. He's got his own funnel and all this thing, and everyone I know talks themselves up. I'm not saying you do, but everyone talks themselves up. Yes, I'll get you this. Yes, we'll do this. Well, it's nice. I'm hearing it. I don't have any proof. I probably, even before I start this, I'll be talking to a few clients of yours that have, received these leads, just to understand how good they are. Because yes, everyone of course thinks their own products are good. I
Yeah,
myself, I think essential services is good,
yeah,
and I'll debate that with anyone until the sun comes down that it is good because you need it. You don't have a choice. You must.
yeah. Look, let me
Yeah.
let me just let me just let me just interrupt you there,
Yep.
because what I want to do is I want to make sure that your time, this use of your time is
Yeah.
valuable,
Yep.
and
Yep.
also that my time is valuable. And
Yep.
like, what I want to do is I want to be able to help you. This is free, so this doesn't cost you anything.
Understood. Yep.
I don't, you won't be talking to any of my clients. That's not how this works.
Okay.
Uh, but the difference between me and, I don't know, anyone else you might be talking to, is they're probably not offering you free coaching. So they can go out and they can make all sorts of offers. But look, I'm not even trying to sell you anything.
No, I
You're
understand. Yeah.
you're not in a position, I think, to kind of become an agency client. And I don't currently have a particular program that I think would suit you because of where you're at. Um, I just want to help you, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
all
fine. Yeah.
this. That's all,
Okay.
all
Yeah.
this is about. And hopefully you appreciate that.
I
And
do, and it's all about reciprocity, whatever that word is. What
yeah,
you give out, then the universe will come back. I do believe in that.
yeah, I believe in that too. So anyway, let's get back to the key point here, Peter, which is you need to get leads and you need to get them cheaply, um, or at least you need to get them in a cost-effective way. They need to be qualified, But let's get back to the core question. What is one client worth to you?
Well, in the mortgage broking world, definitely they're gonna when I convert them, which like you already know can take weeks to months.
Mm.
Then as I slowly build up that pipeline, yes, let's say a 500K loan, I can after I've given away my portion to the mentor and everything, I'm looking at about 2K, at least 2K.
I mean, that's 2K up front, not including the trail commission. Is
Not,
that right?
but then if anyone's going to charge me, okay, I want a bit of your trail, then yeah, I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah. But so let's include the trail. This is for your benefit, not mine.
Yeah, yeah.
What is one client worth?
I haven't calculated the trail, but I think a $700,000 loan, my trail would be $75 a month from memory.
Yeah. Okay. So, and that's what for the life of the loan?
Well, it depends how long they take to pay it. But those who pay it off in 10 years, then it's only 10 years. Those who pay it off in 30 years, then it's 30 years. It's
Yeah, but
so I can't give a time frame.
yeah. So my point is that 75 a month for the life of the loan. And so let's say what would the average be? Sort of 15 years maybe?
I'd say 15, probably.
Yeah, 15 years. So that's another sort of almost $1,000 a year for 15 years, plus the two up front.
I never calculate it that way. Why? Because you've got no guarantee the client stays with you for the 15 years.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So on
They could
average,
tomorrow see an ad on TV, hey, we're offering a better cheaper rate with a $2,000 cashback. They jump,
yeah,
you're gone. That's it.
fair enough. Fair enough.
End
Fair
of
enough.
story.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's fair. So we got to work out, well, what would be the average? And again, it comes back to sort of having an operational history. But my point is, right, you're looking at a value of, I mean, 3 to 5K, I guess, would be pretty safe per client. If
The other
you're,
thing as well, Trent, I'm not sure if you're aware of, there's clawbacks involved. So if they jump within the first 2 years, I have to pay back every single dollar of my
yeah,
upfront fee. Even
yeah,
though, let's say I paid you or somebody else your portion,
hmm.
I've lost all of that from me. That's my
Well,
problem.
why wouldn't you, if you're going into a deal with your partner, why wouldn't you say if they do a clawback, then you have to give me back what you took on that deal because
It
you
is, yes.
you
So
you
let's
have the
say,
boat
like I
deal.
said yesterday, I give him 20%. He
Yeah.
gives me back that 20%, but I've lost my 80%. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But
But
then I've already
that's
paid you, so then I'm not getting it back, am I? So you've got to factor in that part as well. And there are clawbacks involved in
let's
the mortgage broking
let's
industry too.
I tell you what, Peter, let's
Yeah.
get off this idea of you paying me anything,
Yep.
right? This I'm not asking you to pay me anything, and currently I'm not offering you anything
Yep.
except for
Okay.
free coaching. Yeah.
But then when you're calculating, oh, Peter, what's a client worth to you? There's so many variables I'm trying to put into it. There's so many
Yeah.
variables that they jump ship within the first 2 years. I lose everything.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah,
jump
sure.
after 3 or 4 years. I'm still gonna not make any trail from them once they jump. So what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say is, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying anything that I'm saying there are many variables. When you ask me, so
yeah.
how much are you going to get off a client? I just can't give it to you.
Well, you can't at this stage, but what you might want to do is look into industry averages,
Yeah.
maybe talk to your partner, your business
Okay.
partner, and
Yes.
maybe get an idea on these questions from him. What's the
Yeah.
percentage of people that will jump within 2 years in your experience?
Because
Um,
I know from my group of families, they jump every time they see a good deal. That's my main concern. If I do mortgages for my family,
hmm,
I can't even guarantee that I'm going to have them for 2 years because they're shopping
sure,
around every two. Oh,
sure.
I just saw this cash back. Oh, I just saw this. They just jump. And there's
Yeah, yeah,
nothing I can do about it.
yeah, yeah. Well, there are things you can do about it. I mean, that's establishing relationship. That's providing ongoing services. There's a
That
lot that
value.
you can do about it. If
The
you're
one
kind
thing we can't do about is we can't compete with online banks like Bank and all that, who offer
of,
super cheap interest rates that brokers can't match. And those
yeah,
who are in the shopping for interest rates and nothing else, for them, there's not, no matter how much service you give them, if all they're fixated on is, okay, I want a better interest rate, and you
yeah,
can't get me that interest rate, then I'm going to jump. And I have
yeah.
to accept the reality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think in every business there are going to be there's going to be a percentage of people who, change their mind, who don't go ahead, who exercise, their right to go somewhere else. That's always going to
So,
happen.
but I can find out that industry average. Yeah, definitely not a problem because I'm curious myself. Yeah,
I mean, you need to know this.
yeah,
You need to know your
that's a good point.
numbers.
Yeah,
You need to know your numbers so that you can sit down and you can say really clearly, like based on, especially if you're kind of, if you're relying upon your mentor's kind of brand and framework, etc., then his rates of cancellation and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you should probably apply to you because your clients are presumably going to be, receiving whatever it is he gives his clients to keep them on board. And he's probably systemized a whole lot of that stuff. And if he hasn't, then I'd be happy to have a chat about how you guys could do that down the track if that's relevant. But yeah, because ideally you want to get to the point where you're saying, okay, a typical client is going to be worth, 2K up front. The average client's going to stay with me for 5 years before they go elsewhere. That's going to be, a thousand a year for 5 years, so a total of seven. I'm just saying hypothetically,
yeah.
yeah. Let's saying the average is 700K mortgage, and we've got that to work with. So then you start going, okay, now 10% of people are likely going to, 5 to 10% of people are likely going to leave within 2 years and they'll do a clawback. So I've got to minus, $700 from the average of every client. So that takes it down to, let's say, 6,300 is my average, including that clawback thing. And then, you factor in other aspects as well. But with that figure of, let's say, hypothetically 6,300, maybe more, maybe less. With that figure, that's critical because you can then say, okay, if my target is, cash flow of 20K a month, then in order to get 20K a month, I need to be closing, let's say, well, for ease of calculations, let's say 19K a month. Yeah, 3 clients in that scenario. So you then can calculate, okay, I need 3 clients a month to get to 19K a month.
Sorry, when
Now,
you said 6,300, where did you get that figure from? I didn't quite catch it.
okay, so what I said was that so 2K up front, 750 a month in the trailing commission, with an average of the client staying for
It's
5 years.
$75 a month per $630,000
That's
loan.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry. 75 a month,
yeah,
75 a month with an average of they stay for 5 years. So 75 a month comes to about $1,000 a year, a little bit under $1,000 a year.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and let's say they stay for an average of 5 years. This is all just pulling numbers out of the air. Yeah.
yeah.
For the purposes of giving you this kind of framework to think through your numbers to the vision or the data you need to calculate for yourself with your partner to work out what is what's the ROI going to be on your investment. You've got to know these numbers.
Mm.
Are you so you're following now? Do you get
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so then what I said, so if we're doing an average of 5 years, $75 a month, comes to about $1,000 a year. Average of 5 years is 5K plus 2K up front. So that's 7K. And then I said, let's imagine that it's 10% pull out within 2 years. And so that's the clawback.
Yep.
Yeah. Of 10%. So 10% of 7K is 700. So 700 gets clawed back. And so your average across all of them, yeah, if 10% are going to get fully clawed back, so your average across all, you just remove that 700, which is 10% of 7,000. So your average across all of them goes from 7K lifetime value to 6.3 or 6,300. Yeah.
Mm.
So then when we know that figure, you can say, okay, if I want to get to 19K a month in my business,
Got to do 3 of these.
exactly. Yeah. But that's why you need to kind of talk to your partner and get this information so that you can do these calculations. So you can calculate what's the average lifetime value of a client.
Actually, from what you're telling me there, actually, it's going to be more than 3 because we're doing. You know how the what is it? The that 19K we're talking about. That's actually over 5 years.
but it's the value. It's the
Value,
value of the client.
value, yeah,
Yeah,
value
yeah,
over 5 years. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So the point is you're bringing in X amount of value. So in the long term, to build up to, 20K worth of value, you're not getting that
Mm,
cash flow, but
mm,
it's value, which is ROI on your investment.
yeah,
But the ROI is paid over 5 years.
five
And
years. Yeah.
this is just a concept. You could change this and you could say,
Mm,
okay, well, what is my cash flow value over a 2 or over a 1 or 2 or 3 year period? And it becomes a different number. But
mm,
the point, it doesn't really matter, like to me, what numbers you're comfortable using. My point is you need to know
the
what
numbers.
are
Okay.
you comfortable using to
Mm,
kind of calculate the growth potential or the growth actual like of your mortgage business. And then you can say, okay, well, okay, and let's say you're not comfortable with a 5 year horizon. You want to bring it down to sort of this year. What am I going to get? And then it becomes a different story altogether because it's 2K plus, maybe another K, but then you got to give X amount to your partner. So maybe you wind up looking at, 2.5K yourself,
mm,
um, on average. And then you're going to grow a lot slower, but you're going to get that educational experience, and you're going to get the benefit of his support, possibly branding, and obviously his mentorship to actually close these things. So it's kind of like um, it's like an apprenticeship, isn't it? Where you're not taking as much profit, you're not going to grow as fast because you're in this apprenticeship phase. Um, but you still need to know these numbers to calculate, what is the best strategy to what is the optimum rate to grow, and how much do I want to spend, and what is the ROI if I do spend. So then you come back to the question of, okay, so if I'm going to spend, and look, it might be that it sounds like probably Facebook ads is maybe not the way for you to go at this point, um, because these numbers are quite low. Um, I mean, Google ads might be a good way to go
mm.
if you could define a niche. If we go back to that idea of the medical services,
Or the
uh,
FIFO minus. Yep.
the what? Sorry.
The minus. Remember we are talking about
Yeah,
high
yeah,
disposable
or the
income.
miners,
Yep.
or the miners. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that would be a great one too, I think. You define that niche, then you can get very targeted with your uh, Google ads. You can get targeted with your Facebook ads too. Um,
Yep.
but Facebook ads will yield a lot more junk leads.
Yep.
Google ads, the leads will be better qualified up front,
Yep.
cost more,
Mm,
but you can put just a call now type button in the Google ads, which just gets you phone calls. So it's a really quick process. So that might be worth exploring. Again, we wouldn't know until you do these calculations.
yep.
Um, but yeah, you want to get to a point where you're saying like, and I mean, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really take you an awful lot of time to work out how to do this stuff yourself. Like if you just give it, a weekend, give it a day, one day a weekend for a couple of months, you could probably just put together a Facebook ad yourself, probably less than a couple of months. You could probably put a Facebook ad campaign together yourself. It wouldn't necessarily kind of work as well as one that a professional outfit does for you.
Mm,
But over time, you'd be able to run this stuff yourself, and you'd have one of those expenses kind of minimized. So that could be something worth considering. But anyway, to get back to the point is once you know what is the lifetime value of a client, you can say, okay, if I'm going to invest, 3K, 5K, 10K, whatever, in a campaign per month, how many. So then we need to look at some other conversion factors. We need to know how many leads will turn into an appointment, or we need to know, how many clicks will turn into a lead. So how many visits to your landing page, people that see your ad, click on it, come to the landing page, the lead magnet or see sort of whatever it is that you're offering on the landing page, and decide to give you their contact details in return for that valuable lead magnet, how many visits turn into a lead? And then from the leads, you want to be like, okay, how many leads turn into a phone call? And then how many phone calls turn into an application? And then how many applications turn into a client,
Mm.
right? Ideally, you want to get all of these numbers from your partner. Now, what he'll tell you is the leads that come in from referrals and repeat business, they convert massively. The leads that come in from digital are generally rubbish and don't convert at all. That's probably what he'll tell you. If he's among the sort of vast majority of mortgage brokers, where he doesn't have the systems that can filter leads and manage them and get rid of the bad ones and knows what to do with the good ones. If you got that stuff dialed in, it's a completely different story. But that's what he'll probably tell you. What you might also think of doing, Peter, and I know some bigger mortgage brokers will do this, is you could possibly, as part of your deal with him, say that he, how many kind of repeat business clients, say, for example, any of his brokers that have left over the years,
Mm.
and so they've left their book. Clients will come in, come back looking for them, but they're gone. Can you get him to agree to send them to you and refer them to you so that you sort of pick those up and process them with his help? So, I mean, that should work for him, because then he's making more margin on all of those repeat business opportunities that he would otherwise give to another one of his brokers, and he wouldn't make that margin on that deal. Do you know what I mean?
Can I just add something quickly? That's a super, really good point.
Yeah.
Only problem with this is the reason I am decided to have him as a mentor as opposed to other brokers is because he said anytime you walk away from, my support, you can take
Hmm.
your trail book with you. So
Okay.
technically, anyone who's walked away would have already taken away their trail book anyway. But it's a
Right.
good
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So here's another idea. Here's another idea. Well, look, there are all kinds of ways to do this. All kinds of ways to do this, and it's probably worth having a chat with him,
Yeah.
and just saying, "Hey, look, I realize that when brokers leave, they take their trail book. Um, I was thinking of asking you, because he may still have people that just phone his brokerage because the broker that left didn't have a great relationship, just happened, hasn't followed up and engaged that
Mm,
customer or client for like 2 years. So there's no particular relationship there. The relationship may be more to the brand
mm,
of your partner's business.
yep.
Uh, so it's certainly worth having that conversation. And if he says yes, then you could even go one step further and say, hey, look, I've got an idea I want to send an email out to any sort of cold leads, or anyone that's left our business and gone somewhere else, or any clients of former brokers that may have taken their book, but we've still got their details. I'd love to. You've obviously got to check on sort of legal matters of, can you approach
Mm,
prospects or clients that have gone with someone else? Can you also communicate with them and offer them value? But you'd offer, say, a mortgage health check, um,
mm,
and you might get a database of like 1,000 people or more, and you just put together one email that says, hey, you know, my name's Peter. I'm the new broker at XYZ. It's that time of year, and I'm offering a complimentary mortgage health check. Uh, Chances are you're probably paying too much on your mortgage, and I'd love to just free of charge have a look at it and see if I can shave off 10K a year. Just reply to me if you're interested, and that way you may be able to kind of hit the ground running, get a bunch of opportunities in the door, and and then suddenly you've got cash flow to start investing in ads and all that sort of thing. But the key is you want to think sort of guerrilla strategies to kind of get that initial cash flow in the door and leverage whatever opportunities are there through digital strategies. Um, and yeah, so that's just one idea for you that you can kind of take with and run with it. But again, it all comes back to, I mean, that idea isn't connected to this, but I do think the critical thing that you need to do is get clear on those numbers. So what is the lifetime value of your client? And then what are the conversion ratios from, visitor to lead to prospect to application to client? And it
Mm,
might be, for example, it might be for every 100 visitors, you might get 30 leads. And then for every 30 leads, you might get sort of 10 phone calls. And then for 10 phone calls, you might get sort of 5 applications. And then
mm,
for 5 applications, you might get three clients, like hypothetically. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so then if you get 3 clients in that kind of framework, you can then say, okay, for 100 visitors, and this isn't like month 1, this is when you can average this out over sort of 3 to 6 months. And then you've seen the ups and downs along that period, and you got the averages, and the averages, this, and this. Then you can say, and let's say hypothetically it's those figures I just mentioned. Then you can say, okay, so what does it cost me to get those 100 visits on my landing page?
Mm,
And then you've got, right, cost of that is X, the end result is Y. And then you're saying, okay, well, if I can get those 100 visits on my landing page for, 3K, and that turns into whatever, I mean, whatever that number is,
yes.
then you can say, is it worth investing that 3K to make, 10 or whatever? And that's the critical way that you need to approach this. And then you're not just, throwing money at something and hope that it works. You have a specific plan, and, ideally, whatever service you engage needs to be able to give you an estimate of what you're going to be paying for each of those visits or for each of those leads.
Mm,
Typically it'll be leads, so it'll be whoever books in at that period, that's, and then you can work it out from there. Okay, so from, if I get 15 leads, then I'm going to get, 5 calls, and then from 5 calls I'm going to get 3 applications, or 2, or whatever, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But that's, I think, the critical thing for you to think of for now, and maybe see if you can get that data from your partner, and maybe at the same time have a chat about the issues we discussed yesterday, so that because you want to be taking action on what I share with you.
For sure.
Otherwise it's just wasted time. You'll forget it,
Yeah.
I'll forget it. um, so ideally, kind of after this call, take some notes, have that conversation, take the action, and then you'll be steps ahead of where you are now. And you'll have a much better plan of how you're going to kind of build the business.
Yeah, after this call, I'm gonna set a note here to give him or book into him because he's a busy dude. So I'll book a chat with him this afternoon,
Yeah.
and yeah, run through as much of those and see if he's willing to share. Obviously, he could turn around and say to me, "This is all confidential information, business related,"
Sure. Yeah,
and I
sure.
get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you've got to caveat the request by saying, hey, look, I realize this may be confidential, and listen, the answer may be no, and I'm totally fine with that, and I really appreciate what you've offered me already. I'm just trying to work out how I can hit the ground running and get some cash flow so I can run some ads and get a bunch of leads. And obviously, for all the deals I do, you're going to get 20%. So, I figure it's in your interests for me to kind of come to you with ideas. Is it okay if I run a few ideas past you and see what you say?
yeah.
That would be the beginning of the conversation. Then you get his permission. He's like, yeah, sure, hit me. What do you got? And
Mm,
then, everything you're suggesting is much more, it's softened, and he knows he can say no or yes, and he'll have a think about it. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way to proceed. And then when we talk again, you've got some ideas there on what your options are, and really important, get those numbers. So just have a chat with him or whoever he can put you in touch with, to kind of work those numbers out, and ask him, would those numbers apply to you? And, you know, or does he think your numbers might be kind of 20% lower than those because of the lack of kind of experience or whatever? I don't know,
Yep.
but you want to get an idea of those numbers, because then you can just say, okay, I need 100 visits, and that gives me 30 leads, and that gives me, you know, 15 kind of applications, or 10 applications, and that gives me, you know, 5, 3, 2 clients, whatever it is. You know, and he will have those numbers. So he'll be able to say to you, typically, this is what we're looking, and I'll be interested to know what he says about the digital leads, you know.
Versus the the referral and the stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. The referrals and the repeat business will be through the roof. You know, it'll be 100%, or it'll be above 90%.
I'll
And
put a
then
note here: referral versus repeat business and versus
it,
digital. Yep.
yeah, I mean, referrals and repeat business are generally the same. So,
Yes.
you know, they won't vary an awful lot, but the digital will be in the bin.
Yes.
Probably the digital will be in the bin, in which case I could help him, and,
Mm.
you know, my team could help him, and he might be interested in sort of investing that, you know, to get that, if he's got multiple brokers, etc.
Yep.
We may be able to help kind of the whole organization. But yeah, so it'll probably be like 90 to 100 on referrals and repeat business, and like 10 to 20 on digital leads.
Yep.
And so that's what you want to work out. And then, like, and I know you've got to get off because you're tight
Yes.
on time, but you know, then there are other conversations that we can have about strategies that will optimize all of those figures sort of through that calculation that we went through.
Done.
Yeah, cool.
I
All
will
right.
catch up same time tomorrow,
Yeah, I'll be
and
here.
definitely I'll be here longer too.
Yeah, cool. Okay, good.
Thank you.
I look forward to helping. Cheers, Peter.
I'll see you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow. Bye for
See
now.
you tomorrow. Bye-bye.